Yeah. All right. So we should be live right now. While I check on YouTube to make sure this is all good. Is there anything that you want to plug or anybody you want to shout out, anything like that?
I just want to say I appreciate you through the season, always promoting our program and promoting the guys and stuff like that. They deserve it. And I just want to tell you thank you for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you right now, like it's just I would never expected like it was crazy how a year ago today, like I would think of guys like Greg Glenn or Taylor Hendricks, who else like Marvel. I didn't know too much about Marvel, but Marvell, Carl, like all of them, Dylan. Like I thought they were just these like celebrities. Like I was just so blessed for the whole opportunity just to go to your media day and just go to the games. Like I'm still surprised. I'm kind of at the like I'm nowhere like near where I'd want to be, but like I'm even surprised like where I am today. So yeah, it's just like a blessing to be able to connect with your team and everything. And you guys have treated like so much respect too. Like I never thought it would be like this.
Yeah, no, I mean those are the type of guys that we have, and treat everybody the same, and also it's good that you're starting young, and learning the game and everything, and promoting different guys and stuff like that. You're gonna continue to build a lot of relationships, and God can open up any door for you.
Yeah, yeah. Like the crazy part is, so my very first interview with the player was actually with Greg. That interview was very bad. That's probably my worst interview of all time. Like he respected me. Like I thought for sure he was gonna fold on me. I thought for sure like he wasn't gonna do it. He stayed up to his word. Like he just did the interview where he was. He never like canceled or postponed. He just so that like that like even though it was a terrible interview,
Mm.
like partially on my part, I didn't know what I was doing. Like that meant a lot. He was able to be committed like that.
Yeah, no, that's what type of kid. That's the type of kid he is. He's been with me since middle school, and he's a nice guy, man. And some people may have their thoughts about him, but he's a genuine kid, genuine person.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But I since we're kind of talking about your players and everything, before we kind of get into coaching and yourself, let's talk about this season. A very very magical season, I guess, a very memorable season, I guess we could say, for your program. You guys really did a lot. Uh, like not a lot of schools kind of got to have the experiences that you guys had this season. You really made it a special season for your guys and for your team. What was the season like?
I mean, we're still hoping that we possibly get a bid for
Yeah,
Geico's at the end of this month. But we're just waiting word on that. But we did what we had to do as far as solidifying the season with the state championship. We felt that we let a couple games slip away through the season, but overall, man, we're just thankful that we're able to finish the season in the postseason for the state of Florida, and everybody was healthy and finished healthy and no injuries, and we didn't have to really deal with this COVID stuff that affected our team. So.
yeah. And I'm curious, like you guys, you're traveling to South Carolina. Oh yeah, you went like to IMG. You went to Montverde. You travel over.
Arizona.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Arizona. Like, how are you guys able to stay safe? Like, even like teams that are just playing locally here in South Florida, like we're getting shut down left and right.
Yeah.
Yeah. How were you guys able to contain the virus? Because that I was impressed by too. How there were no issues.
Oh, I mean, I have to. I mean, I have to give credit to the kids, number one, because they stayed safe and did what they had to do. A lot of them, well, majority of them, ended up doing virtual homeschool, so that kind of kept them protected. And I would have to also bring up Miss Hendricks, Danielle Hendricks. She works in the doctor's office, and she was able to always have us with masks, face shields when we traveled, gloves, sanitizers, and just everything. So she kind of helped us keep us protected, and we had thermometers and oxygen readers and stuff like that. So I have to give her credit as well. But man, but the biggest thing, man, God really blessed us, in that we didn't have to shut our program down at any time, and just kept us safe. So.
Yeah, for sure. And like yeah, I can even completely. I feel like it's been not a long time ago, but like
Mhm.
that. or I guess even the season has been, I'm assuming, shorter than usual, but like I feel like, when you guys were the Border League, I feel like that was just ages ago when that
Mhm.
happened. You went to Arizona, you go to IMG, you go see Montverde, you're in South Carolina, like you guys really got to travel all around, I guess you could say. What was maybe the favorite trip or your favorite game of the season?
I'll probably say I'll probably end up saying I think that Arizona trip was great for us because that was our first trip like out of state together, and we were able to win a championship, and it was 4 games that we played like back to back to back without scouting an opponent, without them scouting us, and we just kind of had to figure it out on the floor, figure it out with each other, and had to end up winning. And I think that was um, we didn't have a the overtime game through the whole regular season, but we did have an overtime game that in that tournament, and so then we were able to win it. And then we played a team out of California that was top 25, Corona
Mm-hmm.
Centennial,
Yep.
and we ended up beating them by 20. And so I think that's when people started to see, man, these guys are for real, and I think our guys started to realize that we could play and play well together. So.
All right. The edit looks super dope, by the way. I just got it. But my next question, that South Carolina trip to the beach ball thing, that in my opinion was like, I feel like maybe the big breakout for you guys. Taylor Hendricks it's a big shot. You guys going on to the championship. I mean, I know you guys lost to Milton. However, like, I luckily I had the opportunity to see him play in person. I loved watching them play. I love their team. Kendall, Bruce, even I don't think Kaden played too well when I saw him play, but they're all great kids, extremely respectful. Like they are an extremely great team. They play hard and everything. So like, if there's a team you want to lose to, I guess you could say it's them. They're obviously doing really well in the national rankings. But that tournament did kind of put you guys even on the map in terms of national attention, and then you're coming home being ranked in the top 25. So just take us through that special tournament run over there, and how you guys were able to just put you guys on the map nationally now.
I would say as a coach, that Archbishop Moeller game, because we actually went in there. We had a week to prepare for Cannon. Cannon was top 50 at the time, and we were kind of all right. The tournament had their favorites on who they were going to win, and they put each other in the brackets, and they matched different guys up, and so they put us versus Cannon. That was the toughest first round matchup in the tournament, and so we had to win that game to be able to play versus Archbishop Moeller, who was number 8 at the time. And Cannon, we ended up playing. I think that was probably our best game we've played together this season, and we ended up beating them by 40. And that's when everybody in that tournament was like, "Man, Calvary is for real." After that first game, and so we ended up going to play Archbishop Moeller. We ended up beating them, and that was probably one of the toughest games I had to coach. And they haven't lost a game. I mean, they only lost like 7 games in 4 years with that same group, and the coach was one of the winningest coaches in the country. And so you're going playing against a Patriot type of team, and man, they're tough to beat, and they're like mostly all seniors. All of them signed D1, and it was a big time game, big time atmosphere, and that kind of solidified us and brought that matchup with Oak Ridge. And so that was more of a personal game as well, because one of our players played for their coach and travel, and we kind of know each other pretty well, and our players know each other. And so I knew that game was going to be tight, and so we ended up winning that at the buzzer. So that was kind of like a fun game, and then it brought us to Milton, and the Milton game. I just felt we had the championship. We went up 8 at certain points, and we lost our lead going into the 4th, and we just never recovered, and that was kind of a hard pill to swallow. Get it all the way to there and just not winning it, And but that team's on like a 25, 26 game winning streak. They
Yep.
play for the state championship. They're seventh in the country. Bruce Thornton is probably the best guard that, in my
He's
opinion,
tough.
that we played against this year. Their head coach came up to me after the game, and found me by the bus and was just like, "You're the toughest team we've ever had to play in 3 years." And so I think that's kind of where we got the notion of, if we're gonna ever lose a game, it's gonna be tough for us too, and tough for any team to beat us. And so we kind of had that same mentality through that the whole year. Just if a team's gonna beat us, they're gonna have to give it their all, and things are gonna have to line up for them to beat us for sure.
And I want to know, like, coming back home, I feel like really did put you guys like a target on your back. Now, I mean, I guess the whole season people didn't know Calvary Christian was probably that number one overall team
Mm-hmm.
in South Florida, but like just coming back home, being ranked top 25, like having a lot more hype, a lot more respect around your team, that program. When you guys did come back home, like you played that game against Matter Academy, where even though I wasn't there, like, and even though the game ended up kind of falling into your hands a little bit at the end, like it wasn't even as close as the St. Andrews game in terms of just differential wise, like score differential. Like teams want to beat you guys probably even more than they did. How did you guys adjust coming back home and now, like, I guess, what wanted to be beaten by even more?
I think that Matter game kind of woke us up as far as with the players, because I mean I knew that these teams, if you scheme against us, making us shoot the ball, packing the paint, being able to score at different times, slow the game up. I knew that we could be in situations where anybody can get beat. We sat there, we played versus University School when they're top five with two basically NBA players on their team, with Scotty and Vernon. And there were times where the game was very close, and we had them close to beating them at the end. But so the same thing goes with us. And so I knew as a coach, but I think our players, that game kind of woke them up as far as that any team can beat us. And because they definitely thought that we were gonna blow them out, whatever. But I think that kind of woke them up, and then also the Westminster Christian game the next night. But we didn't have Carl that game.
Yep.
Marvell during the Matter game had a slight concussion. We just Logan, our 7-footer, couldn't play that game. And I felt he could have gave us some positive minutes, but we were down a couple guys. The other guys who were playing didn't play necessarily well, and so it was just a tough game for us to win. And Coach PJ is a great coach, and he did the right things versus us, and they're able to pull it off, whatever. But I think that whole weekend kind of woke us up and made us take each game, each opponent serious, and then it was on from there for sure.
Yeah, and now let's talk about, I guess, that state championship run. We'll get into the state championship game specifically, but what about, I guess, those playoff games at home? I know you guys pulled off a history for the school, winning the school's very first district championship. So yeah, I guess before we get into regionals, let's kind of handle districts first. I guess the game. Well, actually, yeah, that was a pretty good game, because I know you guys are down by 10 or something like that at halftime. So that district championship game, where guys had to come up, or I guess face a little bit of adversity there near the end.
Yeah, I think that we were prepared for how they were going to play us, as far as staying in the paint, playing 4 or 5 feet off guys, daring them to shoot. So we kind of knew what we were going into. But I just felt we didn't do what we needed to do defensively versus them. But they had a good team. They have a couple of Division I kids. The coach been in that situation before, and they won the district title last 4 years in a row. So it was very important to us. We came out of halftime down 10, and the guys just turned it up and got stop after stop after stop and turnover after turnover, and we were able to get easy baskets, and we ended up being down 10 to being up 19, at one point, and able to secure that win and make history. So.
Yeah. And I honestly like who did you guys play in the first round of regionals? Oh,
We played
Jupiter Christian, Jupiter
Jupiter.
Christian.
Yeah, Jupiter. Yeah, and
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Jupiter
Well,
and Jupiter had a funky team with guys that we haven't heard about and things like that. But they had a couple kids that can score the basketball, and they had a good coach and stuff like that. But we knew that we just had to play strong from the very beginning, and we should be a little too much. And we actually started off well, went up 8-0, but then we kind of let our foot off the gas, and then we had a better second and third quarter into the fourth. So
yeah, but let's talk about that game following Jupiter Christian. Some
Santa
people might say,
Fe.
like, still, my opinion. Like, I think again, I couldn't watch it in person, but just the
Mm,
atmosphere of that Matter Academy game looked crazy. So even though I wasn't there, I'd still put that as my favorite game of the year. Like, I was
yeah.
watching the thing live, and I just loved it. But St. Andrews, Calvary Christian, you guys were supposed to play each other earlier in the year, but we didn't see it happen. So
Mm,
I didn't really know. Like, all respect to you guys, I thought they definitely had a good chance to win that game. I
mhm,
couldn't really pick who was going to win until that day. Actually, kind of thought
mhm.
someone told me like the reasons why I think Calvary Christian could win. And I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right. But at least before that day, I thought it was a 50-50 shot. You both great teams, the two best teams in South Florida facing each other. The mindset for that game before we even get into it, just what was that?
I mean, they won a championship the year prior. They're defending their championship. This is our first time playing each other, so we're kind of not used to them, but we are at the same time because we did play Chandler Parsons' team, CP 25 South, which had a multiple players
Yeah,
on that team, and then that was actually our first time. But then Marvell didn't play that game, and then they played a lot in the DS Sportsplex when during the COVID pandemic they were able to play a lot versus each other, and then that pressure athletics all-star game we were able to make something happen, and a couple of them played, but nevertheless it was Calvary versus St. Andrews for the first time. Our first game got canceled. They didn't want to play us after we came back from South Carolina, and they didn't want to risk anything, and so that was fine. We ended up meeting them. We expected it. They really thought they could beat us. So we just had to do the right things and play hard from the very beginning. And they actually jumped on us early, and
yep.
um, and Josh scored like 14 points. I didn't feel we defended him well. I felt we gave too much. Well, not too much, but I just felt we were playing the two bigs that they had a little too much and not helping out on Josh or versus Josh. And I didn't feel we needed to help out on their bigs as much because they weren't shooters and they weren't creators, and they weren't too much score. They weren't scorers, like they just did the dirty work. They set screens and they helped their team win. But I just felt like we should have played that a little bit better early, and we didn't. And so we kind of clamped down on a few things, and they went into the fourth quarter down 11, and they only scored 34 points, and probably 10 to 12 of those 34 points going into the fourth quarter were off bad turnovers that we just threw away the ball and just careless with the basketball. So we knew that we were getting stops, and we just had to lock in on number 5, which was I forget his name.
Devin.
Yeah, Devin Hines, and then Josh Minot. We knew that was their two scores, and so we just kind of had to lock them in. And so going into the fourth quarter, up 11, I think we were stretching it out to 14, and then we probably missed 3 straight 1-and-1s, careless turnovers, and we probably missed like seven or eight free throws that quarter, and we just little by little just giving up a three here and stuff like that. And it was just too close for our liking, and I felt it should have definitely been a double-digit win, because we were able to get stops on them. We just weren't making free throws, and it was on our court, so it was like no excuses. I just felt like we even after the game we kind of had a sour taste in our mouth, like winning by I think it was 3 or 4, and we just knew that it should have been 10 to 15 easily.
Yeah, the interesting part too, like thinking about it, because I'm also I'm filming clips. I start off, I'm standing in the bleachers, like right in the middle, because who I know like who's gonna go off, and I was close for a little bit. So then I think at the end of the third quarter, I'm like, let me risk it. I think Calvary Christian got on the bag, so I go. But it felt like even though they were coming back, like they only lost by 3. When you lose by 3, you can make up thousands of scenarios in the game where that could have been the game winning shot, but it did feel like the whole time, like even though they lost by 3, it's like they weren't, like it wasn't close.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't like at the edge of my seat, like, oh, they need this stop. It was just kind of like this kind of just chipped away, but only got to the 3 points, kind of how it felt.
They ended up. I think Bolden ended up making a layup with like 4 seconds left to bring it to 3. So it was really like 5, whatever. But
yeah,
because Marvell made 2 free throws, but it was definitely a lesson learned on doing the little things and don't let things get carried away as far as making free throws at the end, taking care of the basketball when we're in our stall to make them foul us, and then getting to the line and knocking it down. So I just felt like I knew all along. I didn't feel like, all right, they're coming back and they're gonna win. I mean, they had the momentum on their side, and just everything that they're throwing up they were making shots and stuff like that. But and we were just missing a free throw, bringing it. They're coming down, scoring, just too easy. And but there was not enough time for us to like basically give that game away. But it was close though. It was definitely close.
And we'll get into more about you coaching and all that stuff personally, but you I guess a slight coaching question about the season, like before or in between the St. Andrews and the Santa Fe Catholic game, you made I guess a change. You put Carl in the lineup and took Greg out. I've seen Greg not start. If you can touch on this, like what kind of led you to that decision? And also, I think that was the best time I saw Greg play, was actually that game. So how are you able to, I guess, even keep him motivated and just keep the guys not happy, but like keep a guy like him, encouraged and wanting to play even after being, I guess, the sixth man for the team this time?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I kind of have a rule where if you don't practice before the game, that you won't start that next game. And he didn't practice before Santa Fe because his shoulder got messed up during the game at versus St. Andrews. He fell on it. He tried to dunk on one of the kids, and he fell straight.
Oh yeah, I have that video. I sent it to him.
Yeah. So he fell straight on his shoulder, and so he after the game, he was able to get through the game, but after the game, he had to sit out for a day or so, and it bothered him for a couple of days, and so he didn't practice before that game, and so that was the reason why Carl started. But Carl actually was starting. Tyler took Carl's spot.
Yeah. Carl, he told me about it. How that was crazy. How I guess like he I think you were gonna let him start something like that, but he told you no, that he wanted to start. That was crazy.
Yeah, he actually played well versus Sunrise and Lalamere. And Tyler was in the starting lineup during that time, and he just told me, Coach, if start Tyler the rest of the way, let his confidence be high and stuff, because we're gonna need him. And he's like, he'll come off the bench, but it was definitely a blessing, because Carl actually had a great postseason, coming off the bench. And so our first sub off, he was able to bring some scoring and some playmaking ability and stuff like that. If Marvell ever got tired or Dylan got tired, and I think Taylor and Tyler have been in great shape. So they really don't ask for subs as much and stuff like that. But no, it definitely worked out for us in the postseason. But that particular game for Santa Fe, Greg was that guy, and then Carl came in and started for sure.
Yeah, man. I thought it was just because like I had no idea it would just be all Greg was practicing. I thought for sure it'd be something like a little more deep than that. But I guess it's almost better to hear it that way. Like it's because he was a little bit injured, and he played the best game I've ever seen him play. Before we keep continuing, like would you say that you're just blessed to have like guys like that where they're not complaining about minutes and you were kind of able to, I guess it wasn't as much of a difficulty having to handle all this star talent this year, and you had guys that were more team players and open and just helping out the team and winning. Would you say that was more of a blessing, or was that something you also kind of had to develop as well? Was that these guys all need to be part of something bigger than themselves?
I mean, the thing is, if you look at Taylor, coming from U School, he was the second leading scorer on the team. He was he probably had some of the best games on that team as the best player. Marvell obviously was their best player at Wellington, and then now they're coming over to a team where Greg is our best player, and you got Carl here, and then you have Dylan also. Um, Part of it is their personalities and kids, but a lot of it is on us as far as the coaching staff from day one, just helping them understand when you go into college. When you go into college, you're not going to be the best player on that team sometimes. In some cases, like it may not happen even, especially as a freshman, and you're going to play with other good players that were the best on their team in high school, and now you gotta basically run the plays that the coach wants. You gotta basically be unselfish and help the team win, because that's what your goal is in college and stuff. And so we're able to establish that early, that they're coming aboard, and this is what we do. And I think that as the season went on, they shared the ball a lot more. They had a lot more fun, but they are developing chemistry from the very get-go. And I think through the pandemic, it created a certain bond with them, since we've been practicing in June and working out and doing skill work, that they wanted to be good. They challenged each other. There are a lot of very heated competitive matchups in practice, that they wanted to get better and challenge each other. But at the same time, when the game started, it wasn't so much, all right, let me get mine, as much as they know they have to share the basketball, and that's what we expected. And there's different times in film sessions we had to point out different things, with finding guys early and things like that. But man, we got some very unselfish guys, and they definitely bought into what we're doing, and it was awesome to see. And I'm glad they were able to achieve everything they wanted. And if you look at, Greg has made the USA games, and he's been nationally ranked. And Taylor actually came into Calvary nationally ranked, but Marvell wasn't. And
Yeah.
And through his play this year, he averaged less points. And obviously less shots attempted than he has in his past few years, and he was able to crack into the national ranking just off the team success and stuff. And so a lot of kids think, and a lot of outside people think that you have to score, you have to score a certain amount of points, you have to shoot a certain amount of shots, or you have to play, you have to get in AAU and on a national program or a shoot program to get what Marvell received this year. But is not true. I think he was able to show that for sure, and so I'm glad he was able to do that. But going into the Santa Fe game, they beat us last year, and so I know that Carl, Greg, and Dylan and Sammy really took that to heart and stuff, and definitely want to come out with a different tone and stuff too. So and the other guys kind of gravitated towards that too. How serious this game was, a chance for them to get to Lakeland, and we never looked back.
Yeah, and that tone was definitely set for sure. So yeah, you handled business that game. You handled it against Miami Country Day, but against Bishop McLaughlin, luckily you guys did handle business. I was actually like, if you look, so I was interviewing Marcus Allen the whole time while the game was going on, and I don't have an NFHS, whatever that thing's called, account. So all I did was have the score like fall, because they did a great job like posting their stats and updating it every second. So like the whole interview, like I was like going back and forth. Like, I was so nervous. I just keep watching the whole thing, because that edit, I had the guy make it early. So I would have felt
wow.
terrible. I would have felt so because I knew like I wanted to get that thing out first.
Yeah.
But if like man, like, if and I know Bishop McLaughlin's a great team and everything, but like I want to make sure that thing was done just in case. But yeah, he worked so hard on that, so I was like so nervous for that reason too. But luckily, you guys pulled it off. I mean, that was just an insane game. I'm sure that meant a lot to the program. So yeah, give us a recap of that game if you can.
I mean, it was a chance for us to win number two, the second title for us. But all these guys weren't a part of that, and so this was their.
Oh, I don't think I could hear you right now.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're good. Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So it was their first time, a chance for them to be in Lakeland and play and just experience that. But they're standing in our way. They're standing in our way, and we knew that they had three great players, and a couple other good players. Their starting five was just as good as anybody in the state, and I actually knew that they would be there because I just looked at their road and the teams that they had in their region back in June when they all came together with Emmanuel Sharp's dad. And Emmanuel Sharp, obviously he could score, and they were actually in South Carolina because Mikey Williams
They were
canceled, and so they brought Bishop McLaughlin. And so I got a chance to see them early, and I knew they could score, and they're good. They're great one-on-one players. But I just think early on we were able to. If you guys seen how they are playing us, they're playing us in a defense that they wanted to limit their fouls, wanted to let us shoot. They weren't really playing us man, and so I was basically knew that we can attack and get to that rim and just be aggressive and finish. And I don't think we were making those little chippies that we just kept missing them. And it created a hole for us and stuff, and actually kept the game close because we were playing their pace. We allowed them to play their pace, and so I always knew in the back of my mind we can always press them. And so I just wanted to see how the half court situation would look, and then we started pressing them in the second quarter, and then into the third, and then I think we just wore them down. And just were able to tie it up, and then from there we kind of drew them out and had them guard us, and it created easier lanes and driving lanes and passes for our guys to finish at the rim, and then we kind of just took over in overtime, and going for there. But we actually shot terrible from the free throw line. We missed 12 free throws, and I felt we should have won it in regulation, but we just didn't get it done.
Yeah, definitely. And now you get into more coaching stuff, but I guess to relate it back to this game, as a coach, like for myself, because I guess you say I'm more of a fan. Like I was nervous. Like I was seeing, I think, down by 12 at one point. I'm like I knew you guys would come back. Like I knew for a fact, like it'd be crazy if you guys didn't come back. It would be more crazy if you guys never came back, and then crazy if you came back and won.
Yeah.
I wasn't like concerned about that, but it was. But I mean, yeah, like down by 12 points. That's obviously something kind of concerning to a team like Bishop McLaughlin, where they obviously they're at least decent if they make it to the state final. And right. I know they are a really good team. So were you at all nervous during that game?
No, I mean, just being honest, I never felt like we were gonna lose because I just seen how easy the driving lanes were from the top. Like they did not play, their guards did not play defense at all. And so I knew that we can attack, get to that lane and finish. We just weren't getting those done. Greg and Carl were in foul trouble with 4 in the third. We were down 13. But I think Marvell and Taylor did such a great job in the third. And then Dylan was playing great defense as well. That we were able to came back, and then Sanjay off the bench, unlikely hero, man. He made a big three.
Yep.
He gave us quality minutes pressing, and then but once I knew that we were coming back and getting steals and stuff, which I knew that we can, it was from there. Like I knew I just had to kind of just concentrate on making the right calls and drawing the guys out at different times, holding the ball at different times, just to make those guys play defense. Because that's kind of been our thing versus the South Florida teams and the in-state teams. The teams that we played, like once we were able to get any type of leads, we kind of wanted to get into a situation where we're going playing a two guard front and making them guard Carl and Marvell or Carl and Greg up top, and because a lot of teams just want to sit inside that 3 point line, and I know that they scheme to do that, and that's what their coaches want and stuff like that, but once we're up 10, 15, they're gonna have to come play us, and that was kind of what our thinking was, and we kind of explained that through the whole postseason. And we worked on that a lot actually, in practice, making guys come out and defend, because I feel like our three creators with Greg and Carl and Marvell, not too many kids can stay in front of them, and especially a high school team where their guards don't want to play defense. And so we did it, and we did it again in overtime. Um, and we just kind of drew them out and made them play. And so they're having to foul and everything. So
Yeah, and like you said, I think you made some in-game adjustments in terms of like you want to see what the half court's like. Then you're like, yeah, all right, yeah, we can try pressing and everything. I feel like a difficulty for me when kind of learning how to coach. Like, luckily, I'm trying to take it more as a day by day approach. Like, just learn one thing. Don't try to do it all at once. But
yeah,
kind of what you said, it seems like almost you could just do it all at the same time. Like you're coaching the game, telling the players what to do, but then you're also like trying to figure out what adjustments to make. Like how do you? Yeah, I guess like how do you do that? Like, do you have your assistant coaches maybe help you on that aspect, or how are you able to coach the guys in game, but then also kind of figure out like what adjustments you want to make and what new things you want to try out during the game and all that stuff?
If you look at my coaching staff, we have a pretty big coaching staff, but each guy has their role. And Tony kind of helps me more on the offensive side. And he keeps track of the little things like timeouts and players fouls and things like that. But he has all the plays and stuff, and he throws different ideas to help assist me. Steve and Eddie are more my coaches for the games and stuff, and they're always constantly throwing ideas out, and I take what we need to do at the time, or I don't. But yeah, they definitely help me. But as a coach, it's all about managing the game, and you kind of have to prepare your guys in practice for what they're going to see. The challenge comes when you just kind of have to scrap what your game plan was and come up with something different. And that thing that you come up with got to be something different that you guys, for us, it has to be something different that we've worked on in practice. It can't be something I just throw at the guys because they wouldn't be comfortable with it. And plus, it has to be different and it has to work. If you plan on winning a game. But I think that playing in the national games kind of helped me better as a coach because you had to kind of make the right decisions at the right time and quickly. And everything mattered because if you didn't make the right call, you might be going down 5, you might be going down 7 instead of going up 3. And so every decision matters. And so kind of in the games, especially on that level at the state, it was kind of, all right, we got to get into this. And then I seen that they started doing something differently. And Carl actually was on the bench at the time, and he made a suggestion as far as putting on our 2-2-1 because of where they're sending the flash guy to in our diamond press. And so I didn't take it at the time because the press was working, but then I seen they called a timeout. Then we went back to the same thing, and then I seen, all right, let's go to the 2-2-1, and the 2-2-1 kind of opened it up as well. So I think me personally, playing under the great Daryl Burrows, playing under my prep school coach Jerry Quinn, playing under Penn State quality coach, and also playing in professional ranks. I think and just taking on my own identity, you have to have an open ear to everybody. You're not just your coaches, but your players as well. And just see what they're saying, and you got to just be open because it might not be something that you really want to do, and you may have to try different things.
Yeah, and I liked how you mentioned just a second ago, like all those different coaches that you've had and kind of how they've helped shape you. Like that's kind of how I see it because I'm thinking like, what's my coaching identity going to be? And I'm like, man, I'm a loser. Like all I know is my high school coach. I guess I'm just going to mimic him. Like
Yeah,
where's me? But it's like I feel like everyone's coaching identity is just whoever they had as their coach. Like that's
yeah,
how they're going to be. It's like if I went to my school for 2 years, then somehow went to Calvary Christian for my final 2 years of high school, and
yeah,
then graduate high school, and all of a sudden I'm this that, and then they're like, all right, you're a head coach now. I think
yeah.
my coach identity be a combination of you, a combination of my high school basketball coach. Do you kind of agree with that? That like theory, like is that your coaching identity? Just all the coaches you've had, you just kind of took certain bits and pieces from them and just put it into the way you are as a coach.
Yeah, for sure. And then plus you just have to have a mindset of wanting to grow as well. Looking at different coaching clinics online on YouTube or going to these coaching clinics like I do every year for the Final Four. Um, and you learn a lot. You take notes, you learn a lot, and then you try to apply it to your program and things like that. Um, but you can take identity. You can't take your identity from the coaches you've been under. But at the same time, you got to create and do what's comfortable for yourself too. You know what I mean? And you have to. My advice is always to know who you are as a person, before you try to mimic any other person. You know what I mean? Like I can't, like, I think Coach Burrows. Just speaking about him. But no, just speaking about Coach Burrows is, since everybody here kind of knows him, the thing is, Coach Burrows was so great on managing talent, and that was one of the things that for my 2017 year that I really grasped from him, and just being able to handle Gerald Butler, Victor Uyelumu, Solomon, Elachuku, all those guys. And the thing is, that kind of created a mindset of, all right, how can Cilk get better from that? And so I learned a lot from that year, and it made me better for handling the guys this year. You know what I mean? And plus, I think we had a lot of talent last year too, but we just didn't. It was more so. I felt, look, we beat St. Andrews last year. I don't know if you knew that, but we beat
Yeah,
St.
I,
Andrews
I,
last year.
I wasn't too into it last year.
Yeah,
I did not
yeah.
do that.
Yeah, we beat St. Andrews last year, and we actually lost to Santa Fe. That was probably our worst game all season, and we just played one bad game. And I felt we really had a chance to win the state championship last year because we had great players, but we didn't have a true center, and we didn't have a pure point guard. We just had a bunch of guards, but we had it was 8 to 9 of them, and so that was a challenge too. To have all of them be able to share the basketball and want to play with each other and not just focus on scoring, defending, and things like that. So you every year you kind of learn something. I think like 2013, 2014 was my first year coaching ever. I was a player, and Calvary, the AD at the time wanted me to coach, but I was actually still focused on playing, so I turned it down. He asked me to come back again the following year, look at it, and so I said, you know what, let me just look at it, and I ended up taking the job, and we won 6 games that first year, and I had a lot of fun coaching those guys, even though we were losing. It was actually easier to coach that group than any other group we had because the expectations weren't there as a coach to win. The players were decent, but it was more life building skills that we had to give them because they weren't going to play college basketball. But nevertheless, we wanted kids to come in where they love God, number one, and number two, wanted to play at the same levels and that we played at, and as me and Coach Steve. And so kids started coming in, each year, and every year has been improving, and we've been able to build what we have so far, you know.
Yeah, and oh yeah. Sorry, I had a little brain fart for a second. But what would you say, I guess, is the most important aspect of coaching? Do you think it's knowing the right X's and O's and the right actions to put into offense, or do you think it's maybe more being able to relate to the players and kind of knowing how to manage different personalities and being a leader? Like what would you say is your most important coaching trait? You think?
I mean, me, I look at a lot of things different because I played at a high level, not just collegiately. I played in the professional ranks, but I look at things different as a coach because you gotta have everything. Like if I tell you my responsibilities in running our program, you'll be like, man, that's tough. We raise money to travel nationally with sponsorships from different companies. Um, we have to we have to manage and understand each kid and develop them off season as well, because it's a year-round program where we have weights and kids going through a weight program. We have kids going through a development program as far as with skills, and then not only that, just understanding the scouting areas as far as getting film, breaking things down individually for each player, and then also as a team, with when we play other teams, scouting them. So there's an element of film as well, and then you have your off the court stuff as far as the things that we do for the community and stuff like that, that we want our program to be a part of, and so we have that going, and then that's all off the court, and then that leads to now in game stuff. You got to always be ready for that because you're playing teams that are better than you. So you got to find ways to win, and compete on that level. Because we're always looking to. If you look at my career record, that shows that I do not care about scheduling easy games. I don't look forward to it. I want to play the best teams. We want to put our team our kids on the platform where they're playing the best teams, and we don't shy away from that. And so we're playing teams. Sometimes they're just as good as us and or better than us, and so we got to have that type of element. So there's a lot of factors that go into just coaching, other than getting kids and making it happen on the court. As far as X and O's, is a whole program type of element that I don't think a lot of coaches grasp, and truly understand. Because not only that, you have to respond to college coaches, get different social media things out, allow guys like yourself to be available for guys like yourself to be able to have access to you or your kids and stuff like that and stuff, because all that matters.
Yeah. So I guess you would maybe say it's more like knowing how to build a culture for the program, I guess.
Just pick a culture that you're satisfied and what your identity is, and go after that and implement it in all ways, on and off the floor.
Yeah, I just got a couple more questions left. Though one, I want to know, like, coming into coaching. I'm sure your first year, just the way the whole high school basketball culture was, even though it wasn't too long ago, like it's nowhere near where it is now. Like now you got high school basketball pages with millions of followers. Like it's not how it was back. It was getting there. But that's not how it was back then compared to now. Like now high school basketball players are considered celebrities. Like it's a really big market that we're seeing like bigger companies kind of hop into and invest in. How have you kind of like has that been like something you've had to deal with as a transition, like going from where high school kids are playing and no one even knows who anyone is, and they just playing for the love of the game and just trying to go to the next level, where now there's like social media reputations on the line, plus like the rankings are even a bigger deal now, and the offers and all that stuff. Without like a transition you kind of have to go through it, and if so, how'd you handle that with the team?
Well, when I left, when we were in school, we were sixth in the nation. Me and Steve Allen at Dillard High School, and but we didn't have Facebook or Instagram, and so that was a big difference for us. And I can't imagine having that at that age, like, and I think it's tough. But when we went to college, that's when Facebook and all that came about and everything. Um, but it's a big difference because I ended up going to college and I went overseas to play professionally, and then I came back, and so now I'm at high school coach, and so now I'm seeing what the kids deal with social media, the mixtapes and all that and stuff, and how guys are friendly with everybody at every school, and it's just different, like, and when we were in school, we wanted to beat Miami teams, we wanted to beat Ely, we wanted to beat just different teams that we played, Boyd Anderson, and so that was a big difference. Now it's like you got to find ways to motivate certain kids because their best friend or their quote unquote brother is on the other team, and it's their brother because they played a couple AAU tournaments with them, so it's different for sure.
Yeah, and just my final question, more of a general one, but like, what would be your best advice to aspiring coaches?
I think first you gotta understand why you're doing it. If it's for money and fame, I think you're in it for the wrong reason. But if it's generally to help the kids out, um, I think you'll get elevated and people will continue to see your heart in the whole thing. But I think just find out your true passion, and why, and your reason why you're doing your coaching, and then always lean back on that. Everything that you do, whether you're correcting a kid, whether you're uh, responding back to a parent or AAU coach or whoever, like, that's responded to you in a negative way, always remember why you're in this, and because I mean, my first 8 years, we've won 2 titles, in 8 years, and our programs continue to climb. But I've always had to deal with different AAU program directors, just not understanding what you're doing, and basically going against what you're doing and sabotaging your relationship with a kid. I've been through difficult parents, not agreeing with your coach's style or how you're playing their kid or allowing their kid to be used. But you just always got to go back to the reason why you're coaching, and I think that's the biggest thing. If coaches can understand why and continue to respond to their why, and be agreement on their why, I think it'll be a lot easier for them to be productive as a coach. And I think if you start off with that, you'll be great.
Yeah, and I'm really, I know that's the last question, but there's one more that I completely forgot that I'm actually fascinated about. So I guess personally about me, as much as I love basketball, like an overall life goal, like I just want to have a family, good wife, like kids, whatever, like that. That's kind of what I want overall. Like I feel like that's even bigger than basketball. I feel like, and that is kind of something you have. I know like this basketball business, like it's kind of tough to raise a family and be involved in this. Like it just takes up so much time where sometimes like I can't even imagine how it works. Like how have you been able to create a family while also, I guess, pursuing your basketball dreams?
I mean, I definitely give credit to my wife. She's actually a lawyer right now, but we have God at the forefront of our life, and everything that we do is for Him, and so that allows to make things easier for us, as a couple. We don't disrespect each other, even though we do have different disagreements and stuff, and so that kind of keeps things in perspective as far as understanding that. And no matter what type of game we have, or no matter what type of stress she has with a case, we never bring it home to our kids. We have a 6-year-old and 3-year-old that loves us, that don't understand that. They don't understand if you lose a game why daddy's mad, or if there's a case that she has why mommy's mad and stuff. So just keep that in perspective. Family is everything. And at the same token, God is everything as well. So if you keep God first, I think it's easier, and always make sure you find the right one. Like, because that'll make things easier a lot in life for you too.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully that happens. We'll have to see kind of where the future and what God has in store. But yeah, appreciate you for your time. Really enjoy having you come on, share some of your knowledge. Maybe have to do a part two at some point in the future. I'm sure there's a lot more of that Kelly have to share. But yeah, before we end this thing, make sure you guys give us a follow on Instagram at Cilk, or at Cilk Mcsweeney. And I'm at Hoops FM anyways for the head coach of Calvary Christian Academy, Cilk Mcsweeney. I'm Isaac Fleischer, and this has been another iHoopsF interview. Peace out, guys.